Kajang! A Guitar Story. The Wally G. One summer night in 2018, a friend of mine and I went to a bar to watch this man. This man is Mr. Wally Gonzales, who, in my book, is the GPGOAT, which is short for the greatest Pinoy guitarist of all time. For some context, Pinoy is an informal self-reference Filipinos use on themselves. I did not have the opportunity to watch Wally in the 70s when he was a member of the Juan de la Cruz band, but oh well, better late than never. The Juan de la Cruz band is to Pinoy rock as this man is to rock and roll. Not only were they pioneers, but they lifted the genre into mainstream consciousness. So here's a clip of that night. Other than what turned out to be a night for some music with a friend, just for laughs, I brought a guitar, this guitar. When I got this was a really lousy guitar which I had bought in a rush. I didn't know anything about electric guitars back then, but now I know that it was a very poor copy of a Fender Stratocaster. The neck was terrible and the frets were dead. Oddly though, the body and the pickups were fine. And it was this guitar that I brought that summer night with the intent of having Wally autograph it. At that time, I didn't think this idea through because I didn't realize it may have been disrespectful to allow a guitar god such as Wally to autograph a piece of for a guitar. And that was the thought I had in panic when I offered a guitar for Wally to sign during the break of his gig. But being the gentleman that he was, Wally gamely autographed the guitar, and in appreciation, I offered him some beers. From the man, there was no ego or snobbery or remarks that the guitar wasn't a true Fender or it wasn't a custom shop. He signed it like it was a great guitar, which impressed me more of the man. Already a great musician and guitarist, to me, on that hot summer night in 2018, I found that Wally was a true gentleman. Now that I am more familiar with guitars, I know that those who play these instruments can, at one look, judge how good a guitar is. So whatever negative comments Wally had on my guitar that night, he kept it to himself, and I sure was lucky that the man didn't offer to play my guitar in his gig because that would have been embarrassing. In all, I was a happy man with an autographed guitar, and I came to truly appreciate the man. I had known that he was kind of cool and laid back, to let his guitar do the talking, but the real dude surpassed my expectations. I think we saw him again on another night and then life happened and I didn't have the opportunity to see him again. However, on July 23, 2021, that same friend who went with me to watch Wally messaged me that the man had passed away. This was sad news, so many of my musical heroes were leaving one by one, and on that day, it was Wally. But I still had his autograph, so I decided to assemble a guitar in Wally's honor. And of course, it would be called the Wally G. While I had his autograph, it was on the neck, and the neck was all I had because I had used the body and pickups for another project. It wasn't a very good neck, and it had sported my very first fret job, which of course wasn't great, but it had Wally's signature and that outweighed the challenges. Another challenge was that I did not have a budget for the project. I really had no intention to make another guitar, but this was Wally, so I went ahead with this with as minimum of cost as possible. I got a new body, one of those cheap basswood affairs from China. It looks like these bodies are getting better as time goes by. We can only see the joints if we really look for it, and the workmanship is good with no wood fillers anywhere. However, let's not forget that basswood is very soft and can only take so much screwing and unscrewing before the wood becomes too weak to support more screws. In addition, while the standard Fender neck fits perfectly, the screw holes in the neck pocket does not match the standard Fender neck screw holes. For electronics, I took out a loaded pickguard from a mediocre project which had Fender Custom Shop 65 pickups. Now, I'm not a good luthier. I can make things work to my satisfaction, but I'm not good enough to work on other people's guitars. And true enough, as I assembled the body, neck, and pickguard, there was a hum that I could not remove, which brought me to my second most hated task in fixing guitars, which is electronics and specifically troubleshooting. After resigning myself to go back to the start and go trace every connection, after a few sessions, I finally realized that I had a bad output socket. So I got that replaced, and I wired the electronics to have a Bridgestone control. The bridge was a mishmash of old parts and new vintage style saddles, and I kept the old tuning keys. After several days looking into the electronics and waiting for all the parts to come in, I could assemble the guitar. I had to add shims in the neck pocket to improve the action, which is guitar speak for the distance of the strings from the fretboard. As everything came together and after several days of tweaking, I realized that I wasn't happy with my first fret job, so I decided to do my most hated activity in fixing guitars: fret replacement. I've done some refrets, but they're like doing a tonsillectomy with a fork. Possible, but difficult and without finesse. But I had to give it a shot for Wally. I hated everything about changing frets, and I lacked the tools, but the old frets needed changing because they were almost flat due to constant hammering and filing to even out all the frets. I guess the pros who fix guitars for a living can change frets with a minimum of sanding and adjusting, and I was the direct opposite, risking destroying the new frets in the process of adjustment. In hindsight, my stupid plan of bringing that lousy guitar for an autograph backfired. I should have made the man sign a nice guitar. But hey, the things we do for rock and roll. So I changed the frets, making them only marginally better than the old frets, but it was a step forward. I came across a Tusq nut, so that went in also, but not before also adding a shim underneath. Next came setting up for action, which is a balancing act between the nut, the bridge, the neck angle, and the truss rod. Now it's 99% good. It's not good enough for any guitar show, but at least it's in playing condition. It's still a work in progress. It will receive some more tweaking as time will go by, but at least I can show it to you. So 3 months since the man left this world, I have the Wally G.